Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name's ThaTimster. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can make trees for your games in the Blender game engine. So right here I have 3 trees, one of them with a sort of nice bushy texture, one with very small leaves with a less dense texture, and then over here this last tree has no leaves at all, so very barren. And yeah, I guess this one's sort of for summertime and then spring and then winter. So the cool thing about this system is, for one, it's just using Blender, there's no external software, and for two, basically you can change the texture of the leaves, or branches in this case, with just about 5 clicks. So let's get started on making our first tree. So we're going to click File, New, or just open up Blender. If you want to, you can open up your current game file as well, which you want the trees to be in. Then, if it isn't already, change it to Blender Game, GLSL down here, and a frame rate of 60. I don't think that's really necessary, but yeah, just in case. I'm going to turn that on for you guys. Then we're going to press X, delete, Shift A, and under Curve, if you go down here, I have a add tree option. If you don't see that, don't worry. Just go to File, User Preferences, go along to Add-ons, and scroll down until you find sapling here. If you can't find it, or just want to search up sapling, there you go. It'll be the only one to pop up, and has a warning sign. But yeah, it doesn't seem to cause any problems. So anyway, check that, then save your user settings, and you can quit that. Now if you press Shift A, you should have your add tree option available. So we're going to add a tree. Now if we open up our toolbar down here, you'll see this little window has been added. So under the geometry, first thing we're going to do is click Bevel. I'm going to turn down the curve resolution just a bit, and bevel at 0 is fine. Then handle type, I guess it doesn't really make a difference, whatever one you want. The shape of the tree, so this is the sort of shape you want branches and stuff to be. So I sort of like spherical quite a bit, although yeah, it depends what sort of tree you're trying to go for. Yeah, I guess that's sort of a Christmas tree type. But anyway, I'm going to choose spherical because it, yeah, just sort of looks rounded and nice. Then I'm just going to choose a random seed, so maybe something like that. And I'm happy with the scale, that's fine. What you can also do is down here add a preset. And so if you want a willow or oak, yeah, or you know your tree names and you know which one you want, you can choose one of those. Make sure you have the similar settings though, so it doesn't lag. So make sure bevel resolution is on 0, and yeah, fairly low curve resolution as well. Then we're going to click here and go to branch splitting. Now the levels here, if you say click 3, it adds heaps and heaps of branches, and obviously for a game that's not going to be very healthy, and yeah, we'll just be using textures to do that instead, so leave that on 2. I guess one sort of looks a bit silly, but yeah, not past 2. And then you can add base splits if you want. That just sort of chops it down the middle. I think that looks sort of messy though, so I'm going to turn that off. And last thing here is base size, or last main thing, and that basically is just how low you want branches to be. So if you want them to be really high up, then you'd obviously turn that up until there's only a few at the top. But if you want the branches to reach further down to the floor, you can obviously turn that down. I think something around that value will work well for me. So once you're happy with that, we can move on to leaves. Then we can click Show Leaves, select Rectangular, you can turn that to 1, it doesn't really make a difference, I mean, there's no new leaves appearing, it's just the same, so leave it on 1. Then I'm going to change the leaf distribution to spherical. Again, I don't think it's actually making a difference what we do. So yeah, whichever one, I guess. Now the next important thing here is the leaf scaling. So the first thing we're going to do is select 0.5 in the leaf X scale. That basically just turns them to squares instead of rectangles. Then the actual leaf scale here we're going to turn up to 2.5. That's going to make everything huge and crazy, but we'll sort that out later. Then we're going to sort of minimize this toolbar, give us more space to work with, and first thing we're going to do is select our leaves here. Then when we press tab, you can see it's already a mesh, whereas the trunk, if we press tab, it's still a curve. So we're going to select our leaves first, then we're going to press tab and go to face select mode, then under select, select random, and set it to 75%. Then we're going to press X, delete faces, then I'll just make it a bit bigger. We're going to select random again, but this time we're going to select 50. So 75 and then 50, and then X, delete faces. And usually that is a good amount, but I think that's still a little bit too much for me, so I'm going to choose 25. So 75, 50, 25, X, delete faces, and I think that will work a bit better. So once you're happy with that, now it's up to you to do lots and lots of tweaking. So where you see double ups of sort of leaves right behind each other, definitely delete them because it'll just be clones of the same texture that sort of don't look too great. Also, depending on your style of game, you might want more leaves at the top if it's a top-down game, but if it's, say, a first-person shooter, you probably want to be making sure everything looks good from the bottom. Once you're happy with your tweaking, press tab to go out of edit mode and move on to the tree itself. So we're going to right click on it, select it, and it's already called tree, which is very nice. Then we're going to press Alt C and select mesh from curve / text. Click on that. And now if we press tab, it will change to a proper mesh object. One thing you'll realize though is the branches are really high resolution, so to fix that we're going to use some modifiers. So first of all, go into vertice select mode, select one vertice from the main trunk, and then press Ctrl L to select all linked vertices. Then we're going to press P, separate, and tab again to go out of edit mode. Now our trunk should be separate from our branches here, which is good. Then what we need to do now is add a modifier. Now this modifier is going to be called decimate, so modifier, go down to decimate, and the method we're going to be using is collapse, and right here you can see the face count. So right now it's on 1400, and that's just for the branches, so it's definitely unnecessary for the game engine. So we're going to turn down that ratio to, I think, 0.31. Yeah, that value seemed to balance it out quite well. So 0.31. If you do go down too far, I'll just show you. They start turning a bit funny and weird. But I mean, if the player can't see it, by all means go ahead and do it. Yeah. But if your player's going to be seeing them, you probably don't want to go too far. So, yeah, I guess, yep, that seems to work well. So, 0.28. Again, try to keep the face count around 600, just to keep it sort of nice and even. So if you click triangulate, it will add lots and lots more faces, chop them all up. So we don't need that option. Then once you're happy with the sort of look of them, you've got them as low as you possibly can without them looking horrible, then you can click apply. Now if we press tab, you can see most of the vertices are gone and it's fairly low resolution. So the next thing we're going to do is select our branches, then select our trunk again and press Ctrl J to rejoin them. Then we're going to give it a material. Well, first of all, we're going to call it tree again. Seem to muck up the name there. So we're going to go to the material tab, then click new, and we're going to turn off specular. You can leave on back facing, just for speed. Then we're going to go and add a new texture. There's going to be image or movie, UV, and then we're going to click open, and we need a trunk texture, so or bark. So we're going to go to cgtextures.com, and then we're going to go under wood, and then we're going to select tree bark for our texture, of course, and then there's a whole bunch of textures for you to use. I think deciduous worked fine. And yep, lots and lots of textures to choose from. I think I used this one, so if you're logged in and you like it, you can click on it and it will download. So once you have whatever textures you want, you go into your downloads folder, or find your downloads folder, and then I'm going to scroll down, and there we go, bark deciduous. So we're going to click open. So now if we go into texture mode, it probably doesn't look too great, so we need to press tab to go into edit mode, then press A to select everything, and U, smart UV projection. And click OK, and if you notice at the bottom it looks pretty horrible, so we're going to have to open up a new tab, then change it to UV image editor, and we'll press tab and select bark deciduous. Now if we press A to select everything in this window, and then press S, and move our mouse outwards, it will give us a nice texture and even it out a bit more. We're going to select our leaves next and give them a material as well. So scroll along with the leaves selected to the material tab, click new, turn off specularity, turn off back facing this time, and under transparency turn it on and turn the alpha to 0. Then go to the texture panel here, the next one along, click new, click image or movie, go to UV and select alpha down here as well. Now we need a branch texture, so back to CG textures we go, and I guess we'll just reload the page. So then we're going to be going under nature, so click on that, and then well, the first thing we're going to do is click branches. There's a whole bunch of textures in there, so you can take your pick. I suggest ones with pre-alpha backgrounds already, so this one, that's the one with no textures, and then yeah, there's a couple ones here as well. There doesn't really seem to be many, so you might need to go find some other ones if these ones don't work. Go back to nature and we scroll down to plants. Then that's the texture I used for the small leaves. So once you see a texture you like, possibly this one, make sure you're logged in, and you should be able to click on it and it will download. Again, I've already got it, but yeah. So get whatever textures you need, then move back into Blender, click open, and then go to that folder. Might be downloads, you might store them somewhere else. And we're going to go find them. So first of all, I'm going to select our normal one, the normal branches, then click open image, and go back to the material settings. Down here, select alpha clip. Very important, it sort of gives it a bit more of an edge. Then I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode, press A to select everything, all the leaves, and then press U, and we're going to select reset. that just covers the entire area and adds in the whole texture. So right now you'll notice there's sort of like the branches are sticking off backwards and it doesn't look too great. So we're going to go into the UV image editor window, press A to select everything, and then R90, and now it seems to all be phasing away, so we're going to press R180 and then enter, and hopefully now they're all facing inwards towards the tree. You still might need to do a bit of tweaking here again. So for example, this one right here, I just need to move it in a bit more. Now you'll notice it sort of looks a bit ugly and not nice, so we're going to press tab to go out of edit mode, then select our light here, select Hemi, move that over there, and if you still don't like that bottom edge, you can, with the Hemi selected, press Shift D to duplicate, then GX, and press RY180. Then turn the energy down to 0.2, and it'll sort of give it a bit more of a softer touch. So there we go, that's the lighting setup done. We don't need the UV image editor anymore. Now basically again just a lot more tweaking. So one thing you want to do to make the tree sort of look good is down the bottom here you want to try and keep the leaves fairly small and fairly close to the trunk as well. And as you go further up, especially in that middle part, so the main body of the tree, you want the textures to be fairly big, so a lot bigger, as it is the main part of the tree. Yeah, that's meant to be the most bushy, so most of the leaves in there you can probably get away with scaling to make it look a little bit better and a little bit bigger as well. So down here you have to be especially careful because, well, depending on what game you're doing, your player will probably see the bottom leaves if you're doing an FPS. So once you've got all the leaves sorted out, we can go on to making some more trees. So we're going to select our leaves here, then hold down Shift, select our tree, and press Ctrl J, and that will join them. The leaves will suddenly disappear, and you'll probably wonder, but it's just a UV map, because it's got two, one for the leaves, one for the tree. So we're going to go to the Texture tab. First of all, for all materials, for the wood texture, we're going to go to the Texture tab and select UV map. And then for the leaves, we're going to select Leaf UV. So now that should be working. Okay, so now if we want another tree with a different leaf texture, we can press Shift D to duplicate and then GX and move it in this direction. Then all we need to do to change it, you can change the bark as well if you want to, but I'm just going to change the leaves. So you have to click this number 2 here to get rid of it. That will just make a new material. Then go to the texture panel, you have to click the number 2 here as well, very important. Otherwise you'll change 2 textures at the same time. Then we're going to click open, and now you can open up your new texture. So again, for example, if I open up this one, click open, and now you'll notice all the leaves have changed. And yeah, I guess suits whatever environment you want them to fit into. And again, we can do the same, but with no leaves at all. So compress Shift D, GX, and add another one. Now we need to do the same thing, so under material, click the number 2, and under texture, click the number 2. Then we're going to click open, and we're going to select the texture without any leaves, so the branch by itself. Then we're going to click open, and all the branches will fit in. Now the branches, you can sort of see the mistakes a lot more, and they're a lot sort of harder to hide. So usually the branches need a lot more tweaking than any of the other leaves, which is, I guess, sort of annoying, but again, it makes sure you've done it right. So I think that's most of it. I'm just going to possibly join this top one up. Sort of hard to see, but yeah, well, anyway, once you've got the majority of it done and you notice there are two different colors and they don't really match, select the second one and go down here and you can select the bark texture like that, and by default it will select color, so just change that to UV, and now all our branches here will be working with the UV. So if that worked, maybe generated worked best. Yep, leave it on generated. And yeah, that color will just work very nicely. And you can turn off the color on that because we don't need it. But yeah, that's how you can sort of get you can use just the alpha map from this texture and just use the color from the actual bark, so they blend in a lot more. I think in our tutorial here we have 3 trees and only 2,000 vertices, or just over 2,000, which is pretty good. But yeah, there you go guys, that's how to make trees in the Blender game engine. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you think anyone else would find it helpful, feel free to share. Likes, comments, or anything like that is greatly appreciated. But thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.